Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Informal with a new podcast. I am on my 32 edition of the Mr. Informal podcast. I hope you are doing well. I hope you are having a great weekend, and thank you for listening to my podcast. That is Mr. Informal. I am Mr. Informal. Make sure you always check out my website, my blog, mrinformal.com, and also check out my merchandises that I do sell and make on my own. It's just a hobby. I'm not doing it full time. So just make sure you check that out. And so the topic for this podcast is Google buys HTC. That's a big shocker. Or maybe not. Or maybe will Google be in trouble again? Number 2. Gucci produced a logo drawstring bag, and the cost of it is about around $2,000, and I have a big problem about that. Number 3. Adidas taking over the number 2 spot. Adidas taking over the number 2 spot away from the Jordan brand to become the number 2 shoe brand in the United States. Number 4, the last topic is millennials, such as me, still love going to the retail store. That's surprising. And that's actually quite shocking for me. And so those are the 4 topics for today. As you can tell, it is more of a fashion and business type podcast today, but it's okay. Hopefully you will learn. And so let's get on with this podcast. So announced last Wednesday, Google, well, I shouldn't say Google, Alphabet Inc., who is basically owns Google, bought HTC smartphone assets. I repeat, smartphone assets, basically their cellular department, for $1.1 billion. That's $1.1 billion. And I can tell you that it seems like this is different from the Motorola deal, because the Motorola deal was just basically, I think, was more of an experimental buyout. And Motorola has a huge patent. Motorola has been in the cellular industry for so long. Heck, I shouldn't say cellular industry, more like technology industry. So they bought that, but nothing went on, and the deal ended in 2014. And so we are now here, basically Google buying HTC due to their smartphone assets. So we all know, or if you don't know, Google Pixel was produced and manufactured by HTC with a collaboration of Google. And getting rave reviews. I thought it was overpriced, but it's getting rave reviews due to its camera, stock Android. It wasn't getting rave reviews on its looks. Its looks is boring, sterile. And overall, it was good. But it was overpriced. So what does this mean in the smartphone industry? Well, basically, it cuts down on the manufacturing costs because Google now owns HTC. Not only that, they will be absolutely designing, and they will be in full control of the next Pixel or the next phone or the next hardware, whatever Google decide to produce. And that could range from a Wi-Fi, or it could be a Google Now speaker, Google Now Wi-Fi routers, obviously smartphones, could be Google Watches, it could be a whole bunch of Google electronics here. Oh, and also the HTC Vive maybe, but from what I'm reading is that Google only bought the smartphone assets. I'm not entirely sure if they bought the whole electronics assets, but let's assume they bought HTC Vive. Well, that could mean that Daydream could be full in effect, and Daydream could be in the mainstream now. But as of right now, let's talk about smartphones. So obviously, it's gonna be more a direct manufacturer. They're going to be in total control. The manufacturing should cost much cheaper. Not only that, they're not buying from HTC or they're not buying from a third party. They're absolutely in control here, just like how it was in Motorola when they owned Motorola. So now, for HTC side, this is more of a lifeline. There's more of extra health support or extra life. Now, I'm not entirely sure if the brand HTC will survive. Hopefully, we should just call it Google. Heck, I don't even want to call it HTC anymore because of their incompetent, their ignorance, their lack of awareness, and also urgency in the smartphone industry. If I was Google, I would just wipe out HTC in the branding, and you know what? Just call it Google phone, Google whatever. Because to me, HTC is history. It's no more. I still have my HTC One, the first HTC One, with the dual speakers on the front, with the Beats audio and all that good stuff. So what does this mean in the smartphone industry? Well, I don't think Samsung should be worried at all. I don't think Apple should be worried at all. I don't think LG's worried at all. Even Lenovo, Motorola is worried at all, or any other smartphones brand out there, because HTC produced Pixel, and Google obviously named it, and it didn't really affect their profit margins. Samsung still made money. Obviously, Apple's still making money. So I don't think this made a huge effect in the smartphone industry. I think it's taken probably a huge effect in the brand HTC and their offices and headquarters. Maybe there are going to be some layoffs, or maybe there are going to be some change in management and all of that. Hopefully that will happen. But as of right now, nothing's really big coming out of it. I don't see anything affecting it from other smartphones, or what could happen if this and that. It is what it is. Now, what do I think what's gonna hold in the future? Well, it seems like hopefully HTC or Google is gonna have some sense of urgency, absolutely producing the kind of smartphones that I would like to see, meaning something revolutionary, something with a sense of urgency, something that is absolutely worth the price. Looking at the price of the Google Pixel, it's still expensive. Some of the colors are not even available and are still sold out. Hopefully that can be fixed once the acquisition is finally set in stone. So moving on to the second topic, Gucci produced a drawstring bag with their logo on it, and there's a screen print artwork that says, "Common sense is not that common." And the cost of this is $1,000 and $915. Yes, that's $1915. Now I have a big problem with this. Yes, I do know that this is a luxury brand, Gucci. I do know that this is also a premium brand. I do know about the name. I work in the industry. But for something that is a drawstring bag costing $2,000, depending on where you live, with taxes, obviously. So let's assume it's $2,000 if you live in Alaska or Oregon, when there's no tax or sales tax. With that money, it's a down payment, obviously. It cost more than the Louis Vuitton Keepall Bandolier 55, which is much more useful, which is bigger, which is better to look at, which is better to own, and it also keeps its value. This, to me, will not keep its value. So why am I talking about this? Because somebody is gonna buy this and think this is cool. And that somebody, I would tell them, is that you wasted your money, it was not worth it, you're an idiot, and you wasted your money. And for Gucci to even produce this is absolutely ridiculous. They did not need to. Heck, even if the Louis Vuitton and Supreme was overpriced, I would still buy the Louis Vuitton Supreme collaboration because I know it's going to keep its value much longer, or it could even, the value might even go up. But this to me is absolutely a waste of money and an absolutely waste of time, because I think whoever designed this could have done something else with his or her time and produced something better. Especially when a bag costs $2,000. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go type in Google, Yahoo, or whatever search engine you have. Type in Gucci drawstring bag. Common sense is not that common. Okay? And I'm absolutely surprised as to why even Gucci produced this. And look, there are other things that I'm sure that are probably worse than this. But for a luxury brand to even do something like this, just to have writing that says common sense is not that common, is not their forte. And Gucci to me is, I would have expected something over the top. It's even in colors. But this is just too base, too sterile, too clean, or not even it's underwhelming. And Gucci to me is over the top. It's head over shoulders, or whatever you want to call it. It's extravagant, it's luxury, it's premium, it's in your face. But this is not it. So that's why I'm talking about this, because it drove me crazy when I saw this. And whoever buys this, look, I feel sorry for you. So here is the topic that is good. Competition is always great. So Adidas has jumped over the Jumpman, aka Jordan brand, for the number 2 spot in sports footwear. Nike is still number 1, and I'm strictly talking about United States, because I'm pretty sure that Adidas is much bigger in the rest of the world. So I'm looking at this right now. So they taken the number 2 spots. Now, is it because of Kanye West due to the Yeezy? I'm not entirely sure. Is it the NMD? Is it the Adidas Boost? Is it the basketball player sponsors? Is it the football, I'm talking about soccer, sponsors, players, and all that? Well, it could be a number of things. But the fact that Adidas taking the number 2 shows that competition is always great. Not only that, it's a good growth, and Nike has taken notice, knowing that their profits are being taken. So I'm expecting Nike to respond, to have a sense of urgency, to have great designers, have great lifestyle clothing, have a great shoe, obviously, have some kind of reply to Adidas saying, wait a minute, we got the next big thing here compared to yours. But I've been feeling Adidas lately, whether it be the Lillard, whether it be the NMD, whether it be the Boost, whether it be the collaboration of Kanye West. But obviously, I think that a lot of the profits are coming from their lifestyle brand. That's the Adidas Samba, Superstar, obviously. That's a classic. The Stan Smith, which everybody probably has now. Whatever color you have, the black, blue, green, or even gold. And then you have their NMD. It's not just for jogging, it's not just for training, but it's also for lifestyle, leisure, all that stuff. And Adidas also creating their lifestyle movement, which I think is much better than Nike, because it is much more catered to the people who would actually wear it, whether it be you're someone who loves to train, who has a very active lifestyle, who loves classical type looking shoe. No disrespect to the Nike Air Force Ones, but to me the Superstar, the Adidas, the Samba, and even the NMD just looks good on casual wear. And the funny thing is about this is that NPD sports industry analyst Matt Powell said that Adidas taking over the number 2 spot came faster than I expected. I thought it wouldn't happen until the next year. So that's a quick turnaround. Not only that, Adidas is very proud of this move and also the spot that they're in. It just shows the kind of growth, the kind of management, the team, the designs, the product they are producing that a lot of consumers are liking. Even me, I'm liking it all. Now, it's pretty obvious that Nike is still the biggest competitor that they have here in the United States. It's still number one, but that will take a long time. But in the rest of the world, I think that Adidas could probably take on Nike with no issue at all. But that's another story to tell. But I'm just glad that Adidas is now number 2. Competition is always good. So here is something interesting. So I'm looking at this report from CNBC stating that millennials, such as me, if you were born from 1980 to the mid 1990s, stating that 71% of those surveyed by First Insight, who are the company that did the survey, that 71% of millennials go to multiple stores during their shopping trips. 71%, and that's multiple. Millennials are flocking to stores that offer some sort of treasure hunting experience, likely off-price retailer chains as TJ Maxx, Marshalls, Nordstrom Rack, Ross, any type of discounted stores. Not only that, Marissa Tarleton, Chief Marketing Officer of Retail Minot, told CNBC the stores is still alive and kicking. The majority of consumers say they still want to go into the stores and retails and are still seeing a lot of activity in stores. And so I have previously mentioned this, that it's not just about the product itself, it's also the kind of experience you as a consumer go to the retail or brick and mortar experience. So I went over the weekend. I'll give you an example. I went to Shinola or Shinola, however you want to pronounce it. Just came in, checking in there, checking out their products, and the representative told me, or the person who works there asked me if there's anything that he can help me with, or looking for a particular product. And he said, do you also want to have a drink? Because that's how Shinola is. They offer you Coke drinks. And so I'm like, no, it's okay. I just want to look around. But in terms of customer service, I still like it to be there. I am thankful for the rep and their retail store were clean. And I also, for me personally, I like to feel the product. I like to touch the product. I want to see how big it is, what's the size, what can I do, what are the features in there. So that to me is very important. And I am not surprised by this report. Not only that, I'm glad that more and more boutiques and retailers are bringing experience to the consumers other than just standing around and just presenting the product. That's it. So here's another one, okay? For CEO of the First Insight who did the survey, Greg Petro says, the retail industry has been operating on the outdated assumption that boomers are shopping for deals primarily in stores and millennials are searching for deals mostly online. Another part of that report, that the baby boomers, if you were born in the 1940s and 1960s, are actually purchasing more online compared to millennials due to them looking for deals. So that is quite interesting. I would have expected the millennials, which Greg Petro says that go online and looking for deals, but instead it's the opposite. So that is quite interesting. Now to me, it could be that again the boutiques and the stores are maybe presenting their retail design as an experience-based store instead of just a product-based store. Or maybe it's just an evolving way of retail, the whole retail industry. Or it could just be such as me, liking to see the product, having to touch the product. But this is interesting. Now, I'm not saying that the retailers are making money. They're actually losing money because there's a lot of store closing from probably what you're hearing. But this is what will separate the retail stores from other retail stores, which is when you come in, they want to make you feel like you gain an experience, or they want to make you feel like you're part of the company, which is interesting. And I mean, I don't know how else I can go on, because I'm just surprised as my generation is absolutely loving the retail experience. And my generation will most likely spend a lot of money too. As the population keeps growing and growing, obviously more stores are coming in, people will buy more, and so it goes on and on. And so that this basically concludes the 32nd or the 32 edition of Mr. Informal podcast. I hope you learned something, and I hope you were listening to me the whole time. And so if you have any comments down below, let me know. And I do read comments, or if you want me to talk about something, let me know down in the comments below. I will see you in the next podcast. This is Mr. Informal signing out. Bye-bye.